What up, y'all? It's your boy, Mr. Downtown Ray Melo, and you're listening to the Entertainment Report on iHeartRadio, live from Dubai for Thursday, January 26, 2017, delivering some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo, that's RAYMELO, on Twitter at The Enter Report, or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to the show anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app, search for the Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. Mary Tyler Moore, whose roles as a perky housewife on the Dick Van Dyke Show in the 1960s and as a spunky single working woman in her eponymous 70s sitcom made her America's sweetheart, has died. Her rep Mara Boxbaum confirmed to The Hollywood Reporter. She was 80. Boxbaum said in a statement, "Today, beloved icon Mary Tyler Moore passed away at the age of 80 in the company of friends and her loving husband of over 33 years, Dr. S. Robert Levine." Moore played opposite her TV persona and received an Oscar nomination for her performance as an icy mother struggling to connect with her son in Robert Redford's Best Picture winner, Ordinary People, in 1980. The six-time Emmy Award winner had elective surgery in May of 2012 to remove what is known as a melanoma, or benign tumor of the lining tissue of her brain. Moore starred opposite Dick Van Dyke as suburban stay-at-home mom Laura Petrie from 1961 to 1966, then played Mary Richards, a hard-luck loser in love who moves across the state to Minneapolis and gets a job at a local TV station, WJM, for the 6 o'clock news from 1970 to 1977. The latter represented a bold move for a series' main character to be an independent, never-married woman, and Moore became an icon for the feminist movement. A native of Brooklyn who came with her family to Los Angeles when she was 8, Moore aspired to be a dancer. Her first big break came when she was cast as a dancing kitchen appliance, Happy Hot Point, the Hot Point appliance elf, in commercials. That led to appearances on several television shows, including 1957's Richard Diamond Private Detective, in which Moore played Diamonds, played by David Jansen's sultry answering service girl. Her legs were shown, but never her face. Moore had auditioned for the role of the older daughter on The Danny Thomas Show, also known as Make Room for Daddy, but failed to get the part. Thomas reportedly said that no daughter of his could have a nose that tiny. However, Thomas recommended Moore to Carl Reiner in 1961 when he was casting The Dick Van Dyke Show, the CBS series that was based on Reiner's life and career as a writer for Sid Caesar's TV variety shows. Moore starred on The Dick Van Dyke Show at the age of 23. She was 11 years younger than her male co-star. Often wearing capri pants instead of a dress caused quite a stir at the time. She took care of their young son Richie, played by Larry Matthews, in the house in New Rochelle, New York, while Van Dyke's character Rob worked on a sitcom in Manhattan. Moore won Emmys in 1964 and 1966, and the show collected 15 trophies in all. In 1970, Moore and her second husband, the late Grant Tinker, a former ad executive and vice president at Fox Television, later chairman of NBC, pitched the Mary Tyler Moore Show to CBS. On the series created by James L. Brooks and Alan Burns, Moore's character had hundreds of dates but never found true love. The premise of the single woman alternated between work and home would become a TV staple. With the Darling Moore as the centerpiece of an outstanding ensemble, the show was a ratings hit and won a then-record 29 Emmys, and she took home the Best Comedy Actress trophies in 1973, 1974, and 1976. The sitcom, which closed with the third straight Emmy for Best Comedy Series, anchored CBS's Saturday night lineup that also included All in the Family, MASH, and The Carol Burnett Show. The Mary Tyler Moore Show also spawned shows starring Ed Asner, Lou Grant, Cloris Leachman Phyllis, and Valerie Harper for Rhoda, all produced by Moore and Tinker's company MTM Enterprise. MTM was originally sold to a British company for $320 million in 1988. Also produced such series as The Bob Newhart Show, WKRP in Cincinnati, Hill Street Blues, and St. Elsewhere. Moore and Tinker divorced in 1981, and she moved to New York City. Two late 70 efforts at a variety show followed and failed, which featured David Letterman and Michael Keaton, and the Mary Tyler Moore Hour, a backstage show within the show. In 1985, she returned to CBS in another series titled Mary, but that lasted just 13 episodes, and she played a title character in the short-lived 1988-1989 comedy Annie McGuire. For Ordinary People, his directorial debut, Robert Redford cast Moore as Beth Jarrett, a frightening, cold suburban mother who can't forgive her teenage son for living after his brother, her favorite son, dies. Moore's performance, Vincent Canby of the New York Times wrote, "She is remarkably fine, simultaneously delicate and tough and desperate." The film won 4 Oscars, including one for Redford. Moore had a film contract with Universal early in her career. She appeared in such movies as X-15 in 1961, Thoroughly Modern Millie in 1967, What's So Bad About Feeling Good in 1968, Don't Just Stand There in 1968, Change of Habit in 1969 opposite Elvis Presley, 6 Weeks in 1982, and Just Between Friends in 1986. In most recent years, Moore was seen on television, guest starring roles on That 70s Shows, Lipstick Jungle, and Hot in Cleveland. She won her 6th Emmy for her performance in the 1993 miniseries Stolen Babies. MTM Enterprise produced several Broadway plays, and she appeared on the stage in Whose Life Is It Anyways, which opened on Broadway in 1980, ran for 96 performances, and earned her a special Tony Award, and Sweet Sue, which bowed in 1987 and lasted 164 performances. Moore wrote 2 autobiographies which revealed the turmoil in her life. The first, released in 1985, acknowledged that she was an alcoholic, and the second, published in 2009, concentrated on living with diabetes. Richie, her son with her first husband Dick Meeker, died of an accidental and self-inflicted shotgun wound in 1980. He was 24. 2 years earlier, her sister Elizabeth died at the age of 21 from a drug overdose, and her brother John died of liver cancer in 1992 at the age of 47. Mary Tyler Moore's big break came in 1961 when she was cast as Dick Van Dyke's wife Laura on The Dick Van Dyke Show. Van Dyke remembered his friend of 6 decades on Wednesday. He said she was 23 years old, gorgeous of course, and had a kind of mid-Atlantic accent. She sounded a little bit like Katharine Hepburn. My first question was, can this girl do comedy? After that, I said, she's a little young for me. I got to be on hand and watch her grow into the talent that she became. She was just the best. I don't know what made her comic timing so great. On Dick Van Dyke, we had Maury Amsterdam and Rose Marie, both of whom were old hams and razor-sharp timing, and mine wasn't bad either. But Mary just picked it up so fast. She had us all laughing after a couple episodes. She just grabbed onto the character and literally turned us into an improv group. It was so well-oiled. That show was the best 5 years of my life. I remember when we all won Emmys. We were nominated, or at least I was, for the first years, and there was no comedy category. We lost to The Defenders. It wasn't until 1966 that they added a comedy category, and that year we all won. My God, we were excited. We also had been canceled. The funny thing was, after the show went off the air, Mary had the reputation of being the wife, the woman who brings the coffee. So we cooked up this special called Dick Van Dyke and the Other Woman, where we showed off everything she could do, and that somehow changed CBS's mind, and that's how she got the Mary Tyler Moore Show. It fell into the hands of great writers. It was a milestone, that show. It kicked off awful lot of enthusiasm in a lot of women. She got it moving. Thank God she ended up with Carl Reiner and those writers who just understood her and what she did. The episode when Chuckles the Clown dies, she was at the funeral and she was crying, and all suddenly she recalled him and she began to laugh. It was a performance that had me on the floor. It was just masterful comedy. In 2012, I got to present her with her SAG Life Achievement Award. She had moved up to upstate New York and was already beginning to succumb to the diabetes. So outside of her talking and to her and her husband Robert, I didn't see her unless it was an occasion like the SAG Awards. The night she had trouble seeing, so they had to bring her on stage in the dark. For me, it was a payoff moment, a culmination. Outside of her family, I don't think there was anyone more proud of her than I was. Just to watch her grow was such a thrill for me. She left an imprint on television comedy. Co-star Ed Asner was heartbroken when he got word Wednesday his real-life friend and former sitcom underlying Mary Tyler Moore had died. Given the Hollywood Reporter an interview not too long ago after he got the news, the 87-year-old actor who played Tough as Nails news director Luke Grant on the Mary Tyler Moore Show boasted about working with the actress who, quote, had no rivals as far as I'm concerned. He says she was a prodigious worker. She never stopped concentrating on the goal at hand, which was making a good scene a good moment. She was the most generous of everyone around her in terms of giving them their moment. She was not a camera hog. Asner also remembers reading with Moore when he auditioned for his role like it was yesterday. Asner said with a chuckle, when I came back to read with Mary, Alan, and Jim, our 2 producers in attendance, I read the scene with her like a man possessed, thinking I was duplicating my earlier reading for them without Mary. I left, and she turned to them and said, "Are you sure?" They responded by saying, "That's your Luke Grant." Asner, who has appeared in numerous films and television shows throughout his illustrious career, says every episode of the Mary Tyler Moore Show was a winner, but he had a few very favorites, such as the 1970 1975 episode Chuckles Bites the Dust. But the episode most near and dear to his heart is the 1977 episode Lou Dates Mary. After taking a long pause, Asner begins, I always thought after years of doing the show of Conquering Mary to be my heartthrob, and they finally gave us our chance, the producers. And she and I go on a date and we kiss and we ended up laughing at each other with signals close but no cigar, so we remain good friends. That was nicely engineered. As far as his most famous line from the series, you've got Spunk married, I hate Spunk, that couldn't be further from the truth for Asner in reality. He says, it may have worked in the show and it got a great laugh, a very great laugh, but in real life I loved Spunk. So I always thought, what a lie, what a lie. I'm sure Lou would have called it a crock of shit. The two actors remained friends throughout the years and would have fun when they got together for show reunions, but they did not talk on a regular basis, says Asner. Asner said, letting out a deep sigh, she was tremendously talented and funny and beautiful. She had no rivals as far as I'm concerned. She knows how to laugh at herself. She really knew. Asner will watch an episode of his series and laugh at his friends when they come on, but he does not hunt for them on television. Asner says, as far as where the Mary Tyler Moore Show ranks in the annals of TV history, he says it's one of the best. I will leave it at that. Leslie Moonves, the CBS Corp chairman and CEO, said in a statement, Mary Tyler Moore was a once-in-a-generation talent. She will be long remembered as a gifted actress, television pioneer, and a role to so many. CBS has lost one of the very best to ever grace our airwaves, and our industry has lost a true legend and friend. Rose Marie said of her Dick Van Dyke co-star, we had some remarkable and unforgettable experiences together on the Dick Van Dyke Show. We were able to grow closer over the years and eventually become dear friends. We kept in touch until the very end. I shall miss her very much. Girls starring creator Lena Dunham, the writer and star of HBO's Girls, said in a statement, Mary Tyler Moore's humor, style, and vulnerability had a profound influence on me as a television creator and on every woman I know working in television to upend expectations of traditional femininity. Her remarkable presence and ahead of her time ability to expose the conditions of single working womanhood with humor and pathos will never be forgotten. Her generosity as an animal rights activist and an icon will never be forgotten. I never met her, and I'll love her forever. I know I'm one of the millions. Shonda Rhimes paid tribute to the actress she grew up watching, saying, reruns of the Mary Tyler Moore Show sustained me as a teenager. The woman who threw her hat all the way up in the air was an independent woman who loved her job, didn't need a husband to define her values, lived alone. Mary the character was fierce. She was everything. That show had 3 successful spin-offs. When I found out that Mary the person had her own TV company, MTM Enterprises, I stopped simply admiring her, and I started wanting to be her. She changed what I thought was possible for a woman on television. Actress Michael Leonard, remember her neighbor and friend in a statement, we were neighbors in the San Remo for 10 years in New York. She was my lunch buddy, and I loved her. My condolences to Robert. Jenny Conner, the showrunner for HBO's Girls, added, whenever a young writer asks me for advice about pilots, I tell them to watch Mary Tyler Moore. It will show you everything you need to know about three-dimensional characters and graceful exposition, but it will also show you an actor who was at once a comic genius and the most grounded of performers. And boy, could she dance. What a huge loss, but how lucky we were to have her and see her grow and change from ordinary people to flirting with disaster. She never rested on her America's Sweetheart laurels, though they certainly would have been enough. Thank you, Mary, for making Girls and basically everything I love on television possible. Robert Redford, who directed Moore in the Oscar-winning 1980 drama Ordinary People, told The Hollywood Reporter, Mary's energy, spirit, and talent created a new bright spot in the television landscape, and she will be very much missed. The courage she displayed in taking on a role darker than anything she had ever done was brave and enormously powerful. George Segal, who played Moore's husband in the 1996 comedy Flirting with Disaster, said, I'm so sad to hear that she died. She was a trooper and a great comedian. SAG-AFTRA President Gabrielle Cateras remembers the actress by saying, Mary was a television legend, but more than that, in her most iconic role, she was both an agent of change as well as a reflection of our changing society. At a time when independence for women was not the social norm, both the fictional Mary and the real-life Mary set an example, showing that women could take control of their lives and their careers. She'll be dearly missed. Oprah Winfrey said of Moore in a statement, Mary Tyler Moore majorly influenced my life and career. I respected and admire her business acumen, her passion and compassion for all life, and most importantly, the values exposed through her storytelling. I thank you for being a light that shines so brightly. It let me see myself in her. As news of her death spread on Wednesday, tributes flooded in from Hollywood via social media. Cloris Leachman, her co-star in the Mary Tyler Moore Show, said, "The picture that we all have of Mary, that's how she was. Sweet, kind, so tender, so delicate. She was America's sweetheart. We love you." Carole King wrote, remembering Mary Tyler Moore with great respect and affection. Stephen Fry, the comedian, wrote, rehearsing on the hashtag Mary Tyler Moore stage today, a minute silence as we remember one of the true greats of TV comedy. Michael Keaton wrote, Mary, MTM, was a gem. She was an icon, my boss, castmate, and a friend, and I will miss her. Hoda Kotb wrote, who could turn the world on with her smile? Who could take a nothing day and suddenly make it all worthwhile? George Sakai wrote, she turned the world on with her smile. R.I.P. Mary Tyler Moore. You were a role model in so many ways. Wilder Valderrama wrote, hashtag Mary Tyler Moore. It was my honor to have met you and work with you when you graced us on that 70s shows, a memory I will carry forever. Hashtag R.I.P. Pat Sajak wrote, hard to think of Mary Tyler Moore in the past tense. Happily, Mary Richards will always be with us. Ellen DeGeneres wrote, Mary Tyler Moore changed the world for all women. I send my love to her family. Gloria Gaynor wrote, hashtag Mary Tyler Moore. You could truly turn the world on with your smile and make millions fall in love. Connie Britton wrote, oh, Mary Tyler Moore, you were a true inspiration and power when I didn't know what that was. Thank you. Hashtag Mary Tyler Moore. Questlove wrote, she made it after all. R.I.P. hashtag Mary Tyler Moore. John Leguizamo wrote, R.I.P. hashtag Mary Tyler Moore, who can turn nothing day and make it all worthwhile. Well, it's you girl, and you should know it. Uzu Aduba wrote, who can turn the world on with her smile. Kelly Ripa wrote, so sad to learn of the passing of Mary Tyler Moore. Boy George wrote, R.I.P. Mary Tyler Moore. Michael Strahan wrote, R.I.P. Mary Tyler Moore. Senator Al Franken wrote, Mary Tyler Moore will always be immortalized in Minnesota. My thoughts are with her family and loved ones today. Rosanna Scotto wrote, hashtag R.I.P., hashtag Mary Tyler Moore. You opened the door for women in television. You more than made it after all. Dennis Leary wrote, you can't be brave if you only had wonderful things happen to you. Hashtag Mary Tyler Moore. Larry King wrote, hashtag Mary Tyler Moore was a dear friend and a truly great person, a fighter. Rest in peace. Andy Cohen wrote, R.I.P., beautiful, upbeat, shining, glorious, wonderful, iconic Mary Tyler Moore. Gilbert Godfrey wrote, oh, Mary, Mary, Mary. Al Roker wrote, beloved actress Mary Tyler Moore has passed away at 80. How wonderful was her show. She will be terribly missed. Ashley Tisdale wrote, you paved the way. Hashtag Mary Tyler Moore. Hashtag R.I.P. Savannah Guthrie wrote, I throw my hat up in the air for you, Mary Tyler Moore. Loved her and her spirit. Rest in peace. Jenny Slate wrote, Mary Tyler Moore is gone. Very sad day. R.I.P. my dear Mary. God damn it. God damn it. Mary Tyler Moore, who incarnated the modern woman on TV, dies at the age of 80. Diana Guerrero wrote, when I was a little girl, I would watch reruns of Mary Tyler Moore, and this image has been important. Victoria Justice wrote, R.I.P. Mary Tyler Moore. Here's to the most strong women like you who continue to trailblaze and make the world laugh. Paula Abdul wrote, Mary Tyler Moore was appointment TV for me and my mom. I grew up watching her. She was one of my favorites. My sympathies to her family. Robin Roberts wrote, she could turn the whole world on with her smile. Admired. Hashtag Mary Tyler Moore very much. Thinking of her family and loved ones. Katie Couric wrote, so devastated to hear about Mary Tyler Moore. She really did turn the world on with her smile. And yes, Lou Grant, her spunk. Marlene Matlin wrote, TV icon and groundbreaker hashtag Mary Tyler Moore has passed. She broke through our TV screens and showed that a powerful woman can be funny. Wendell Pierce wrote, Mary Tyler Moore was an icon who changed television as an actor and director, but I will never forget her performance in Ordinary People. Hashtag R.I.P. Sarah Silverman wrote, I'm so sad, oh my gosh. Ryan Seacrest wrote, thank you, Mary. David Simon wrote, honoring her great gift of laughter, even Mary Tyler Moore obit should reference Chuckles the Clown and a little song and a little dance. Paul Feig wrote, no words to express what sad news the death of Mary Tyler Moore is. What an amazing pioneering woman in comedy and entertainment. R.I.P. Mary. And Belinda Carlisle wrote, R.I.P. Mary Tyler Moore. Another passing to report, Butch Trucks, the Allman Brothers Band co-founder and drummer, died at the age of 69 Tuesday in West Palm Beach, Florida. His death was confirmed by his booking agent Paige Stallings to Rolling Stone. His cause of death is unknown. Trucks rep stated the Trucks and Allman Brothers Band's families request all of Butch's friends and fans to please respect our privacy at this time of sadness for our loss. Butch will play on in our hearts forever. The Allman Brothers Band was formed in 1969 in Jacksonville, Florida by Trucks, Greg and Dwayne Allman, Barry Oakley, Dickie Betts, and J. Johnny Jamoy Johnson. Truck is the third member of the original band lineup to pass away. Duane Allman died in a motorcycle crash in 1971 at the age of 24, and Oakley died in a motorcycle accident 13 months later. He is survived by his wife, 4 children, and grandchildren. Fox has ordered a still untitled X-Men pilot from Burn Notice creator Matt Nix and film series director Bryan Singer. First announced in July, the pilot will focus on 2 ordinary parents who are on the run from the government after it's discovered their children have mutant powers. Once they join up with an underground mutant resistance, they begin to fight back in order to survive. A collaboration between 20th Century Fox and Marvel Television, Nix is set to serve as the showrunner, writer, and executive producer, while Singer and fellow X-Men film series hammer Simon Kinberg will also be executive producers alongside Laura Schiller-Donner, Joseph Leb, and Jim Choudhary, according to Variety. The pilot comes after FX ordered of Legion, another X-Men-based series starring Dan Stevens and Aubrey Plaza that premieres February 8th. Unlike Legion, this new pilot will tie more directly into Fox's long-running X-Men film franchise. Nick said recently of the pilot to The Hollywood Reporter at the Television Critics Association Winter Press Tour, a fan of the movies but also the comics would not be disoriented at all as to where this fits in the mythology. He continues by saying, if you look at the movies, which takes place from they started in 2003 to now, they do not all line up perfectly. I'm not slavishly fitting them into a particular slot, but at the same time, if you like the world of the movies, there are definite nods to the movie. It exists in the same general universe. Netflix is rebooting Bravo's early 2000 hit Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. A statement for the producers to Entertainment Weekly says, in a time when America stands divided and the future seems uncertain, a team of 5 brave men will try to bring us closer together with laughter, heart, and just the right amount of moisturizer. The show was originally starred Carson Creasley, Ted Allen, Cryan Douglas, Tom Felicia, and Jay Rodriguez. Will feature a new Fab Five, a move from the Big Apple to turn the red states pink, one makeover at a time. Each member of the Fab Five on Queer Eye used their area of expertise, fashion, food and wine, interior design, grooming, pop culture, to make over a straight guy. Queer Eye, which ran for 5 seasons, won an Emmy for Outstanding Reality Series in 2004. Billie Lourd is grateful for rumored boyfriend Taylor Lautner and his friends. The 24-year-old actress gave a shout-out to Lautner and her pals Tuesday on Instagram following mom Carrie Fisher and grandmother Debbie Reynolds' deaths in December. She wrote, this group of one sees clad, supremely supportive humans and many others, hashtag not pictured but in the picture, are the kings and queens of my world, hashtag grateful for their greatness, hashtag friends finding the funny. Fisher died at the age of 60 on December 27th, and Reynolds died at the age of 84 the next day. Death certificates released this month said that the actresses died of a heart attack and a stroke respectively, although Fisher's death remains under investigation. Lord said on January 2nd, receiving all your prayers and kind words over the past week has given me strength during the time I thought strength could not exist. There are no words to express how much I will miss my Abba Dabba and my one and only Mobby. The Screen Queen's star paid tribute to her mom on January 11th with a throwback photo on Instagram. She was later spotted with Lautner on a trip to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Millie Bobby Brown has been named the new face of Calvin Klein's latest fashion campaign titled Calvin Klein by Appointment. The fashion brand noted on Instagram recently, alongside a modeling shot of Brown, a cast of distinct individuals bring the idea to life, chosen for who they are, where an essential strength of character is key. Whether famous or unknown, all are treated equally. The 12-year-old Stranger Things star is seen rocking a white t-shirt that is covered in bright and colorful fringe complete with red trousers. Brown shared the image on her Instagram account, adding, I am so honored to be a part of this. The line, designed by new creative officer Raph Simons, will also be advertised using actors Abby Lee and model Natalie Westling. Calvin Klein by Appointment is said to make high-end fashion more accessible to women and men, and with the company noting that the clothes are, quote, no longer solely for celebrities, rather an open made-to-measure service. Taylor Swift is giving fans a new glimpse of her I Don't Want to Live Forever video. The 27-year-old singer shared a new still Wednesday on Instagram from the music video for the song, her single with Zayn Malik for the 50 Shades Darker soundtrack. She captioned a photo of herself and Malik bathed in red light. Coming soon, hashtag I Don't Want to Live Forever, hashtag 50 Shades Darker. Swift had posted a similar still from the video on Malik's birthday this month, writing Happy Z Day. She and the 24-year-old English singer released a lyric video from the song in December featuring footage from the new movie. Malik said of the single on the Elvis Duran and the Morning Show the same month, "We were kind of in separate places when I mentioned the idea to Taylor. She really liked it and she went into the studio the next day." The star said, "The really interesting thing was that she's actually friends with my girlfriend Gigi Hadid, so she already reached out." 50 Shades Darker stars Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan as Anastasia Steele and Christian Grey and opens in theaters February 10th. Johnson recently discussed the film's sex scenes in the February issue of Vogue. The actress said, "Jamie and I worked so incredibly close for so long. There were no inhibitions, and it was very honest, very trusting." And here are the top 10 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 singles charts for the week of February 4th. Number 10, Bruno Mars with 24K Magic. Number 9, Maroon 5 featuring Kendrick Lamar with Don't Wanna Know. Number 8, Zayn Malik, Taylor Swift with I Don't Wanna Live Forever, 50 Shades Darker. Number 7, The Chainsmokers with Paris. Number 6, Machine Gun Kelly and Camila Cabello with Bad Things. Number 5, The Weeknd featuring Daft Punk with Starboy. Number 4, The Chainsmokers featuring Halsey with Closer. Number 3, Ray Sermon featuring Gucci Mane with Black Beatles. Number 2, Ed Sheeran with Shape of You. And the number 1 song on the Billboard Hot 100 singles charts for the week of February 4th, The Migos featuring Lil Uzi Vert with Bad and Bougie. And now let's take a look at what happened on this date in entertainment history. On this date in 2006, Oprah Winfrey takes James Frey to task for lying. On this date in 2006, during a live broadcast on her daytime talk show, Oprah Winfrey confronts author James Frey about fabrications in A Million Little Pieces, his memoir about addiction and recovery, which she chose as an Oprah's book club selection in September 2005. A Million Little Pieces, published in 2003, was James Frey's first book. In it, he described in graphic details his harrowing experience with addiction to drugs and alcohol and his time at a treatment center when he was in his early 20s. After Winfrey picked A Million Little Pieces for her popular on-air book club, which launched in 1996, the memoir climbed the bestseller list, following in the footsteps of many of the club's previous selections. In October 2006, Frey appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show to promote his book, which the talk show host had previously said she couldn't put down, calling it a gut-wrenching memoir that is raw and so real. Then in early January 2006, the Smoking Gun website published an expose claiming court records, police reports, and interviews with a variety of sources show that Frey had falsified and exaggerated parts of A Million Little Pieces, especially surrounding his criminal past and time spent in jail, in order to make his story more dramatic. On January 11, 2006, Frey and his mother appeared on Larry King Live to defend A Million Little Pieces, and Winfrey called in to show to express support for the author. However, 2 weeks later, on January 26, when Frey appeared on Winfrey's show for the second time, he faced tough questioning from the talk show host, whose attitude towards him had changed. Winfrey began the live program by telling him, "It is difficult for me to talk to you because I feel really duped, but most importantly, I feel that you betrayed millions of readers." Frey admitted to Winfrey that he altered and embellished details of his story, including the fact that he had been in jail for just several hours, not 87 days as stated in his book. When Winfrey asked about a particular memorable incident from the book in which he wrote about having root canals without anesthesia, Frey coincided that he couldn't recall whether or not the dentist had used any Novocaine. Winfrey also confronted the publisher of A Million Little Pieces, saying her staff had been contacted about possible inaccuracies in the book, only to be told that the publishing company stood by Frey's story as a work of nonfiction. During the show, the publisher acknowledged that A Million Little Pieces had not been fact-checked. Frey's fabrication sparked a national debate over the definition of memoir. In the aftermath of the controversy, he was dropped by his literary agent, and his publisher settled a class action lawsuit brought by readers who claimed that they had been defrauded. Future editions of A Million Little Pieces included a note from Frey in which he admitted to altering parts of his story. However, the scandal did not signal the end of Frey's career. He went on to publish the novels Bright Shiny Morning in 2008 and The Final Testament of the Holy Bible in 2011. And that is your entertainment report for Thursday, January 26, 2017. I'm your host, Mr. Downtown Ray Melo. I'll be back tomorrow to deliver some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo. That's RAYMELO. Send me a hello on Twitter at The Enter Report or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to this episode or any previous episodes of The Entertainment Report anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app, search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. Good night, and God bless you all.